used to love exploring abandoned places, especially at night, alone, with friends. Didn't matter. The darkness, the rusted metal, the dampness, the drafts. It all seemed to awaken my imagination. Over time, I even started collecting creepy stories, and scary daydreams became something of a hobby. One night, the three of us decided to explore one of the local spots. An unfinished frame of a multi-story building, two basements, one floor, sand, concrete, exposed rebar. We often played there during the day, running, jumping into piles of sand, carefree and happy. But once the sun went down, the place changed, especially one part of it, a covered, pitch-dark basement. At night, it turned into a real haunted house. Sometimes you could hear creaks that sounded like footsteps. Once, on a windless night, we saw a black plastic bag rolling across the floor, all by itself. And we weren't innocent either. We made up scary tales all the time, spooked other visitors, and watched their reactions with morbid curiosity. We had tried entering that basement at night a few times before, but always backed out. Never had the nerve. But one night we decided we're going in. No turning back. Enough running away. To keep things atmospheric, we ditched our flashlights, even though we had them. Instead, we used torches. Simple ones. A branch, toilet paper, solvent. The flames were weak, swayed with every draft, cast flickering shadows on the walls, and lit barely a meter ahead. But they looked amazing and terrifying. The three of us practically rushed into the dark corridor, each of us trying to act braver than the others. Inside, a long concrete hallway, split by a slab with holes for pipes. On each side, dark rooms open and half open, empty. About halfway through, there were two ceiling openings leading outside. We joked loudly, laughed, watched how the dancing light twisted the walls into a living backdrop. We reached the last room and decided to set up camp. We unrolled a spare roll of paper, added some twigs, splashed the remaining solvent, and lit a small fire. Improvised seats, scary stories, laughter. We felt like the main characters in a horror movie, as long as everything was under control. 15 minutes passed. When it was time to head back, someone had the idea. Let's return via the other side of the corridor. We left the torches behind. I took a flashlight from a friend and went first, flicking the beam playfully, cracking jokes, making up eldritch monsters on the spot, trying to creep out the others again. We passed a couple of rooms, only a little more, until the exit above. And then, I felt a jab in my back. A second later, another, harder, a third, almost knocked me over. I turned around and didn't even get a word out. My friend at the back bolted past me, screaming. Right behind him, the second one, also yelling, running for the exit. Panic hit instantly. I didn't stop to figure anything out. I just ran after them. Laughter, nerves, chaos. We tore down the corridor, stumbling in the dark, just trying to get out. And then, one image, sharp, like a frozen frame in my memory. The torch we left behind was burning near the ceiling, as if someone was holding it up. Outside, my friends didn't stop. They ran for a while longer. I just didn't want to be left behind. Didn't want to be alone. When we finally stopped to catch our breath, I started asking questions. It happened when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My parents, brothers, and I moved into a house that had been abandoned before. It stood alone, across from a large park. I didn't know what had happened in that house before we came. But at night, there were was something about it. Something subtly wrong. One evening, close to Christmas, I changed into my pajamas and got ready for bed. And suddenly, I felt a strange, sticky sense of dread. I looked out the window, but my bedroom was on the second floor. It's nothing, I told myself, and tried to sleep. In the morning, I woke to a bright light. Snow. The first snow. The whole room was glowing, as if the evil of the night had been erased. My brother and I stood by the window, staring at the white blanket outside. Dad came over to us, silently. Then suddenly he frowned. He leaned closer to the glass and asked, "Did you climb out the window last night?" I was shocked. No, of course not, but he didn't believe me. He said nothing and walked outside. I pressed my face to the glass, trying to see what he was looking at. And then I saw it. Footprints, clear deep boot prints right under my window, leading through the fresh snow and disappearing onto the driveway. They were huge, at least size 12. Someone had stood there. In the night, when I felt that strange gaze, when I looked out the window, when I thought I was safe, it took me years to fully understand. He had been there, watching me, and maybe waiting. Ever since then, I always close the curtains before bed, because now I know, if you feel like someone is watching you, you just might be right. There was another story that took place in the desert. I came to Arizona for Christmas to visit my parents. They live in the southern part of the state, almost at the Mexican border. Their farm is a house in the middle of the desert, so far from everything that they had to build a road themselves from the nearest highway. No neighbors, no civilization, just silence, dust, and cacti. My younger sisters came too. The three of us had been staying with our parents for a few days. There wasn't much to do. TV got boring fast, and after the fun night before, we were all in that lazy post-holiday mood. No one had been drinking, and the vibe was calm, even a little dull. And then, close to midnight, one of my sisters said, "Let's go out and look at the stars." The desert night sky is something special. Huge, dark, and covered in countless tiny lights. We stepped outside. The darkness was almost complete. We used our phone flashlights to see, but around us was just black, endless space. We walked about 150 feet from the house, around 45 meters, far, but still within sight. One sister stopped suddenly and said she needed to pee. The other and I just stood nearby, chatting quietly. It was so still, too still. And then, the sister who had stepped away asked, "Do you hear that?" Almost at the same time, the other one said the same thing. We froze, and then we all heard it. Clear, heavy footsteps, very close, like someone was walking straight toward us. The steps sounded like a person wearing work boots or climbing shoes. Solid, confident, way too close. No discussion, no words, just a single scream. "Run!" We turned and bolted for the house. No looking back. None of us looked back. The door slammed shut behind us, and we locked everything we could. Breath ragged, hearts pounding louder than ever. Once we caught our breath, the sister who had stepped away said, "I saw someone to my right, just standing there." Still, we all agreed. The footsteps were real. We heard them clearly, and it wasn't an animal. No animal moves like that. We woke up our parents. Dad grabbed his pistol. None of us could sleep the rest of the night. Mom said maybe it was someone crossing the border, an undocumented migrant. But we had another thought, a darker one. Maybe it was a serial killer hiding in the desert,